Directed by Matt Reeves, the 2022 Batman film was all the rage, and it further encouraged him to develop a Batman universe centered around it. While a sequel is in the talks, Reeves also created an HBO miniseries that focuses on the Penguin, and he seems to have an elaborate vision in store for this cinematic universe. Reeves has also expressed his desire to explore the villains and side characters in greater depth, and today we shall be exploring every villain in Matt Reeves' The Batman Universe. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means an awful lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
I'm wasting my time.
The Joker. Portrayed by Barry Keoghan, the Joker is undeniably the most iconic Batman villain, and any Batman universe would be incomplete without his presence. He was born in the 1990s with a congenital disease that made it impossible for him to stop smiling, and his life experience shaped him into becoming a crazed villain. He started dabbling in a life of crime, and soon enough he became a nuisance to Gotham City as a whole. He gained a reputation as a serial killer, started torturing young kids, and eventually landed in the Arkham State Hospital after being captured by the Batman. Over time, he became friends with the Riddler after the latter was incarcerated for his attempts to flood the city, and one of the final scenes in the Batman showed the two in adjacent cells as they bonded over their crimes and became allies. Interestingly, the Joker's appearance in the Batman was kept under wraps for the longest time, and the crew even went as far as to label Barry Keoghan as the unseen Arkham prisoner in the credits. Just like most of his iterations, Matt Reeves' Joker was deceptive and cunning, and he executed his crimes with a flair and a twisted sense of humor. He was one of the few villains in Batman's rogue gallery who did not fear the Dark Knight and instead went out of his way to get a rise out of him. He took great joy in pushing Batman's limits and making him uncomfortable, and his sadistic, manipulative persona had a dash of charisma. He also possessed a genius-level intellect which made it easy for him to understand others' motives and get in their heads. He was also a skilled thief, and he once even stole a paperclip from a bunch of files in front of Batman without catching his eye.
It's possible.
You showed me all it takes is fear and
The Riddler. Famously known as the Riddler, Edward Nashton has captivated the audience with his striking role in The Batman. Portrayed by Paul Dano, the Riddler was a former forensic accountant who had turned into a serial killer. He was also on a mission to expose Gotham's elite, and he had quite a quirky approach where he came up with elaborate riddles, puzzles, and torturous devices to expose the city's darkest secrets. He went on live streams to reveal the secrets of corrupt Gotham police officers, and even assassinated Mayor Don Mitchell, Pete Savage, Gil Colson, and Carmine Falcone. He also left riddles for Batman to uncover these crimes, and he was eventually arrested and sent to Arkham State Hospital. While Batman berated the Riddler for his actions at Arkham, the latter smugly revealed that his followers were already on a mission to flood Gotham. Batman soon left to deal with the flood, while the Riddler stayed back in Arkham and befriended the Joker, who lived in the adjacent cell. As far as Batman villains go, the Riddler was an egomaniacal, ruthless killer who believed that he had to kill his victims in the most horrifying ways. He went out of his way to come up with creative ways to kill, and even live-streamed his actions on Gotham television. His psychopathy deluded him into believing that Batman was an ally, and he even expected him to be pleased with the flooding in Gotham. The Riddler had genius-level intellect, making him an expert programmer, hacker, and master tactician. He was also a skilled investigator, and he had managed to discover many classified documents on the upper class in Gotham on his own. Additionally, he was a skilled marksman, and he had great proficiency in preparing explosives.
Riddler! How should I know?
Let's make it easy for you, Oz. Cops caught you doing something. They were gonna...
The Penguin. Portrayed by Colin Farrell, the Penguin is one of the key characters in Reeves' Batman universe, and he has an ongoing HBO spin-off series also known as Oswald Oz Cobb. The Penguin was one of the key members of Carmine Falcone's crime syndicate who hoped to rise to power in the underground crime scene. He was also associated with some murders committed by the Riddler, and he ended up as Batman's target when he finally realized that the Riddler was trying to get his boss into trouble. However, it was too late for the Penguin to step up and save escaped Falcone, who was brutally killed off by the Riddler. With Falcone dead, the Penguin realized that the time was ripe for him to rise in the ranks as the new leader of Gotham's criminal underworld. His brand new spin-off series takes us to Gotham's grimy, shady parts and sheds light on his operations and eventual rise to power. Like most villains in Batman's rogue gallery, the Penguin was a highly intelligent being who operated from within the shadows and tricked everyone into believing he was harmless. His cunning, deceiving nature shaped him to be a skilled tactician, and he also has his trusty pistol for when he could not defeat his opponents with tricks and petty politics. He also had a micro Uzi pistol in case of emergencies, and he was seen using this rifle against Batman and Carmine Falcone in extreme situations. Carmine Falcone. Notoriously known as an infamous mafia lord, Carmine Falcone practically ruled the underground scene in Gotham City. Portrayed by John Turturro, Falcone played a minor antagonist role in The Batman and even attended Mayor Mitchell's funeral after the Riddler got to him. After the funeral, he ran into Bruce Wayne and told him all about how his father saved his life. As the movie progressed, the Riddler exposed some of the Wayne family's secrets, and Bruce then sought Falcone out to interrogate him. Falcone revealed that Bruce's dad had hired him to threaten a report and eventually kill him to prevent him from revealing the family's secrets. Falcone also got into trouble with Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, and almost killed her when Batman intervened and caught him red-handed. He was soon placed under arrest, and he even ended up in a scuffle with a Penguin while police officers surrounded him and tried to subdue the situation. In the midst of this chaos, the Riddler got his chance to shoot him from a distance, and the Falcone crime ring lost their leader. In the aftermath of his death, his daughter, Sophia Falcone, stepped up to lead the Falcone crime syndicate and ensured that his legacy remains undefeated. While Falcone is dead, he was undeniably one of the smartest villains in the Batman universe. He single-handedly retained control over the Gotham crime scene and wiped out his rival, Salvatore Maroni, after stealing his drug business without getting into any major police trouble throughout his career. He could also be quite charismatic when he wanted to be, and he was well-trusted and respected by all his closest associates. Falcone's success was also a result of his power-hungry nature, as he was willing to go to great extents to maintain his undefeatable status for over 2 decades. Sal Maroni. Portrayed by Clancy Brown, Salvatore Maroni is infamously known as one of the most infamous mob bosses in Gotham City. As he rose to power, Sal became a notorious mafia figure and was responsible for a bunch of crimes. He also created Drops, a drug that eventually became an epidemic, but his lawyers managed to keep him out of prison no matter what he did. Sal often spent his time at the Penguin's nightclub, the Iceberg Lounge, and he even worked with him on a few occasions. While Thomas Wayne was running for mayor, Sal Maroni hired a reporter to dig up some dirt on the Wayne family so that he could compel Thomas to work for him. However, Thomas Wayne approached Sal's rival, Carmine Falcone, and hired him to get rid of the reporter. Falcone even suggested that Sal might have been behind Thomas and Martha's deaths, as he rose to greater heights after they were out of the picture. Sal even began using the Gotham Renewal Fund to launder money and bribe city officials, but he was on a downward spiral as his family was soon busted in a sting operation. It was later revealed that Carmine Falcone orchestrated his plan and tipped off the officials in an attempt to defeat Sal and establish his position as the superior crime lord. Sal's Drops operation was also taken over by the Falcone crime system. While Sal spent the rest of his time in prison, he was out of the picture. Sal's wife, Nadia Maroni, continued to run their family business, but things were not the same anymore, especially after his arrest, which was covered in great detail in the Gotham Gazette.
There every morning. It was humiliating.
Sophia Falcone. Famously known as Carmine Falcone's daughter, Sophia Falcone was a founding member of one of the most influential mob families in Gotham City. She played a key role in her father's battle for power against Salvatore Maroni, and she eventually stepped up to lead their criminal empire after Carmine's arrest. While he often gave off the impression that she was a disappointment in his eyes, this did not stop Sophia from stepping up to fill in her father's shoes and establish a powerful criminal empire, even without his help. Carmine eventually came around and appreciated her contribution, while Sophia's attempts caught the Joker's eye. During the last few weeks of the Falcone-Maroni War, the Joker broke out of Arkham to visit her, but this visit did not go well, as he ultimately shot her in the head. The Trigger Twins. Matt Reeves made it a point to incorporate several DC Comics characters into Batman, including the Trigger Twins, who guard the back door of the Iceberg Lounge. While the Penguin single-handedly runs this nightclub, the Trigger Twins are often seen guarding the back entrance and preventing any troublesome characters from accessing the club. They might not be the smartest peas in the pod, and Batman had no trouble beating them up on numerous occasions across the movie. However, they are iconic characters who have been a part of DC Comics, and they first appeared in Detective Comics in October 1993. Introduced as Max and Charlie Carver, the Trigger Twins were separated at birth, but they eventually met each other while trying to rob the same bank. Now that they found one another, they decided to team up and rob banks together before working for a mob boss named Dan Doyle. At this point, they were robbing trains, and they soon started working for other crime lords before finally serving the Penguin. Matt Reeves has clearly done his homework on characters in the extended Batman comic universe, and the Trigger Twins served as a fun addition to the cinematic universe's lore. Victor Aguilar. Portrayed by Renzi Feliz, Victor Aguilar is a young kid who shows a whole lot of promise among Batman's current pool of villains. He is affiliated with the Penguin and seems to be one of the recurring characters in the spin-off HBO series, The Penguin. Victor was one of the many individuals who played a role in flooding Gotham City, and he often committed petty theft and other such crimes. He did not give off an evil impression at first, and he was a mild-mannered, meek kid who spoke with a stutter. He first stumbled into the Penguin's path when he tried to steal his car and got caught red-handed. Victor soon started pleading for his life, and he could barely stutter out an explanation when the Penguin decided to kill him right there at the junkyard. However, Victor soon spun the situation in his favor and convinced him that he could be quite a useful asset in the Penguin's future plans. He also proved his worth when he rescued the Penguin from Sophia Falcone and even killed and mutilated Alberto Falcone. Furthermore, he delivered Alberto's corpse to his sister and finally won over the Penguin's trust, establishing himself as one of his mentees.
He makes you look soft.
Marvelous verdict. With that, we've come to the end of this video that explores some key characters in Batman's rogue gallery. While we have already seen some of them in The Batman, there are a lot more exciting appearances in store for us in future releases. With Matt Reeves taking the wheel, we can certainly expect some interesting takes on these characters, and in the meantime, we'd love to hear your thoughts on these villains in the comments below. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.